I believe that first and foremost, that life is really about getting to know yourself, coming home to yourself, and figuring out who you really are, what you care about, what you want, who you want to connect with, and how. And it's about unwrapping the gifts that come with this life. One of those gifts is our ability to heal ourselves on a mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual level. But how do we do that? Well, we do that first and foremost by knowing ourselves. We need to know ourselves as a species. We need to know how human beings operate, for one thing. But more specifically, we need to understand what we as an individual, what you have been through, and the meaning that you carry around those experiences, the beliefs and the decisions that you established in response to those experiences, and the patterns of thinking and the patterns of behavior that you've created in response to those beliefs and decisions, the patterns that keep you moving through your day-to-day processes. As well as, of course, we have to understand more about our emotional experiences. We have to know how to process our emotions, and we have to know how to let them go as well. We also heal ourselves by choosing to reinforce or change old patterns and paradigms. So, those experiences that we went through in the past that had great meaning for us and helped us to establish certain decisions and beliefs about how we should behave and what to expect from the world, well, those create patterns in us. Like I said, we have habits of thought and habits of behavior that match up to those belief systems that we carry based on experience. And so those patterns that were put in place initially in response to difficult experiences in childhood and in our past, they were really meaningful at that time. But over the course of our lives, what we find more and more is that sometimes those patterns become sort of obsolete and they're no longer helping us. They're no longer serving us. And at that point, we need to be able to recognize that something's not working, not serving anymore. And we need to know how to disassemble that pattern, that program, and replace it with something more helpful, more useful for us wherever we are in that moment. So ultimately, what we're doing here in this work and in the mind-body healing work in general is that we're healing the relationship between you and you. We're bringing balance to the way that you relate to yourself, the way that you talk to yourself, the way that you think about yourself, and the way you see yourself. A lot of us have a bit of an imbalance around that, or some negativity around the way we talk to ourselves, the way we treat ourselves. I mean, how many times have you felt that inner war inside of yourself, where you really just, you wanted one thing and your body was giving you something else, or your mind was giving you something else. And there's that tension that grows within our relationship with ourselves. Well, ultimately, through the course of this process and my interactions with you, my aim is sort of to get you to think about yourself and talk to yourself the way that I think about you and talk to you. And, me specifically, yes, but really, I mean, the way someone who has an objective perspective of you, someone who has unconditional love for you. I want you to be able to infuse your self-relationship with these qualities of love and acceptance and the ability to see yourself objectively. So this course is about increasing awareness of self, claiming the gifts that life is offering to you, including how to heal yourself. And really, ultimately, it's about learning how to live by design rather than just allowing things to keep unfolding by default. Because the fact of the matter is, things will, your mind will continue to work on its own. Your body will breathe itself. Lots of automatic processes will continue to move forward by default if you don't do this work. But if you want to have a more rich and fulfilling experience of life, and if you want to be free from chronic conditions, and if you want to be, so much more in the driver's seat of how this goes for you, then we've got to meet the subconscious mind and all these built-in self-healing mechanisms on their level. We've got to learn to work with them in the way that they already operate. And we just help to kind of infuse and adjust and encourage that process to happen in a way that is more efficient and effective. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, no matter what, you are the one who can heal you. You are the hero in your own story. And that's very important for you to realize. We cannot wait for someone else to save us or for something to come along and fix whatever is wrong. We have to step into this role of rescuer for ourselves and sink into the softness of that. Really be our own support system. And of course, we all need support from others as well along the way. We all need to seek professional help, and we need guidance and support from people who love us and care for us in our personal lives as well. But ultimately, it is you who drives that bus, right? It's you who guides that process. And, knowing how and when to ask for help is part of that. That's part of you helping yourself.